Okay, Robert. So,
Yes. Back again.
Back again. You just told me about a lecture you've given called Through the Eyes of the Children. And please tell us a little bit how, when we're going through a breakup, how to put ourselves in the place of our children and how to see through the eyes of our children so that hopefully the very minimum of damage will happen to them even if mom and dad break up.
There were the two things that one thing that you said immediately when we talked about this before was that never talk badly about the other partner.
Never, never.
Never, never.
Because if you talk bad about your ex or your soon-to-be ex in front of the child, that just splits the child in two, doesn't it?
It's just the child, and it makes this act of loyalty, which both parents use to win the child to them. So the child has to be loyal to one parent. The child has very difficulty being loyal to both parents. And they choose often the weaker of the parent, the one that they feel needs more help to become loyal to. And in cases where the divorce cases where the mother has taken over the child and blames the father in all these ways, and that she becomes the person which the child becomes completely loyal to the case of saying that I hate my father, I don't want to see him, I don't want to be with him for the weekend. So if you're looking through the eyes of the child, you see, what does the child need to live in total peace with both parents? How can we support the child's needs to be at peace with the divorce, with our splitting up? Not feeling guilt, not feeling stress, not having to choose sides, not having to be in the loyalty problem. To be able to be totally free and know that you as parents can give the lesson that we're not living with each other, we maybe not even like each other, but we accept each other, and in our own ways we love each other. And we want to give you this, both of us. Because you need to grow in an atmosphere of love, understanding, communication. And if we can't do that, then we can't teach you these things. It's a way of teaching the child that two people can be tolerant, teaching them tolerance, teaching them understanding, teaching them communication, teaching them love. To be the, what would you call it?
To be the example of how, I don't know.
Yeah, to be the example.
Of how adults could go their separate ways, but still respect each other and maybe even and appreciate each other, even if they decided to split up.
Right. One thing I suggest, and I've seen it many times, where I say, what do you do with the ex and the child? Do you go out together? Do you spend a day in the park together? No. We'll do it. Call her up and say, can we spend Saturday together in the park, the three of us, so the child sees that we're together and can work to do these together? Okay, I'll try it. And they come back after they've done it, they said, it was incredible. It was incredible. We sat there, we talked, and we started getting angry, but we were able to stop it because of the child. And we left as some sort of friends.
Now that would be a great thing. Well, that could be such a blessing. Think what it must do. By the way, Robert's good to me. Think what it must do to a child, and of course it happens so much, and maybe sometimes there's not much to be done, but think what it must do for a child to know that his mother and father hate each other. I mean, that's got to be a hard thing to grow up with.
It's a terrible thing.
It's a terrible thing. And so senseless, you know, I mean, too bad if a couple or a former couple can't at least, for the sake of the child, try to get on well. And anyway,
Yeah.
yes. And what else, Robert? What
Well,
else?
one of the things I asked them directly is like, you loved this person before, what did you love about her? What did you love about her? She has the same qualities. Nothing's changed. If anything, she's become more beautiful, more as those qualities that you saw in her before. She's developed even more. So go back and see those things when you meet her. The qualities that you loved. You're going to meet her for 2 hours or an hour at the park. Bring those things with you into that 1 hour.
See, I think when we fall in love, part of the problem for later on is we see all the beautiful things in our partner, and we think that's all there is. We don't see the shadow side.
But we don't.
And then later on, if we break up, then it's exactly the opposite. We see only the shadow side,
Only.
and we forget all about those beautiful things that we saw at the beginning, which were really there.
Right.
We really did see them. The problem is we didn't see the shadow. So in a way, it's like making the same mistake all over again. In the beginning, we saw only one side of the picture, and in the end, we're still seeing only one side of the picture. Only it's the opposite side now. It's the shadow side.
Right.
We need to understand what the beauty we saw at the beginning was really there. It wasn't an illusion. It was really there, and that's what attracted us.
Definitely. And to also understand that the shadow side, as you call it, is, a lot of it is in you.
Yes, of course. That's why we can't stand it.
That's why we can't stand it.
Because
That's
it's inside of us.
right, and that's what gets triggered by the other person. And for the child, a lot of people say that we're getting divorced because it's best for the child. Well, you're getting divorced because you're not able to see your own life, you're not able to communicate, you're not able to resolve the disappointments and the frustrations that you've had in finding out who you are. You haven't taken the chance, the opportunity to say that these hurts, these things have to do with me. If I can change these, if I could look into myself, and this would be helping the child, because the child, in looking into your inner child and seeing what does my inner child need, it's also supporting your child, the child you gave birth to, by developing the inner child, by working with it, by loving it. You're giving your child the possibility to do the same thing. And looking through the eyes of the child, what does the child need? The child needs your love, your support. It needs to see that two people could work together. It needs to see that there's understanding in the world because there's so much hate. It needs to know that two people that you are closest to in the world can give you the understanding that these things are possible. It is possible to love each other. It is possible to communicate. It is possible to solve problems in a peaceful manner without fighting. They see that my mother and father could solve a problem. I could do it. They've taught me how to do it. They've shown me it's possible to work things out in a loving way. And that's a big thing to give a child.
And so much is about responsibility for our own crap. You know, we hear it said, but it's so true. The things that bother us in others They bother us, these things bother us, because it's inside of us. If I didn't have a trouble, let's say if faithlessness bothers me in somebody else, why? It's because I know it in myself, and I haven't forgiven it in myself, and so I can't forgive it in another. It's only the stuff inside of us that really bothers us. So we have to take responsibility.
Perfectly true. Perfectly true.
With our own stuff. And maybe one last thing, Robert. It gets much worse when the lawyers get involved, doesn't it?
It becomes so terrible.
Why is that?
Well,
What happens there?
if they haven't brought in lawyers, and not all of the people that come to my group have brought in lawyers yet, and I say, don't do it. Don't bring in a lawyer. Go to a counselor. Have your wife call me, which has never happened. But never bring in a lawyer, because when you bring in a lawyer, communication stops between the two of you like this, push, like a sword going through the whole thing. You split, become two evil forces working against each other.
Because?
Well,
Because why? The lawyers are wanting the money, is that it?
the lawyer wants the money. The lawyer is there not to reconcile, but to split. There are a few lawyers that work with reconciliation, and they're fantastic, but they're very few. Most of the cases I've seen in 20 years is the lawyers help both partners to hate each other. And they never think of the child. They never think of what's good for the child. What's happened now, because of new law in Sweden, is that there are sites which women tell each other how to win over how to get the child custody. It's terrible.
Okay, I'm sure sometimes it's a good thing, but still, when the lawyers get involved and the name of the game is to win and to get as much money as possible. Would you agree?
Yeah, win and money, and the child, and then the ego comes up. I'm the better person for the child. You're not. You did this when we were married. You don't deserve to be the father. And I'm going to see that you're not going to be the father of this child. And the child's going to hate you.
Yeah.
And the lawyer uses this to win the case. So I say, never bring in lawyers if you could help it. Never go to courts. Do not use the court system for solving your problems. Because they're not going to solve your problem, they're going to split you apart. You need somebody to talk to, you need somebody. There's a group in America, very interesting. When you get divorced, both partners go to a counselor. And if they're not able to work together for the best of the child, they're not allowed to get divorced.
Okay.
They have to be able to work
They have
together.
to- okay, I like the idea of knocking heads together so that hopefully they could work together to an extent for the sake of the child.
Yeah.
Of course, we know sometimes divorce is the only way, but still, all in all, yes, to keep the lawyers in the court out of it. If we could bring in mediators and keep the relationship as much as possible, at least as much as possible, respectful and a peaceful relationship between the couple that's splitting is so essential. So
Very essential.
let's not split our children.
You both love your child. Both parents love the child equally. Both parents want to be with the child. Both parents want to give the child the love and devotion and everything the child needs. So work together.
Absolutely.
Work together. Don't separate the child from either of you.
Absolutely.
As we said at the beginning, never talk against each other. Praise each other.
Okay, point out the good qualities.
Point out all the good qualities of the other person.
Indeed. Thank you again, Robert.
Thank you.
Okay, Dudan.